Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Wimbledon Spiritualist Church. It's lovely to have so many of you here physically in our congregation. The first time, then this is actually our church hall. We've moved out in the hall because it's cozier and because we haven't got to worry about heating a really large church. But we also, through the magic of technology, you will see that our backdrop is our church altar and our church stained glass window. But welcome to those on YouTube, on Facebook. If you are saying hello to us and you know you're a different part, then just let us know. It's always nice to know how far our congregation has spread on any one Sunday morning. We know you're all on different hemispheres. Some of you might just be up the road, you know, in Wimbledon. It's just you're not well at this moment. Therefore, you know, you're looking at us on YouTube. So it's lovely to be here this morning. Lovely to welcome everybody. Lovely to welcome June, whose birthday is this week. I had my birthday Thursday, and we had lovely cake here on Wednesday, a nice Halloween feast. Very pleased to welcome our medium this morning. Is our third generation spiritualist, Ashley Robinson, who I will ask to have the opening prayer in a moment, and he'll come up to do that one. Okay, and then we'll do the healing moments. So I'll just let you know about the healing moments because it's interactive. We will be saying the Serenity Prayer, but if you have healing thoughts that you wish to be sent out to someone you know, a family, friend, even a pet, and I shouldn't say even because pets are very important and their love is very important. But if you want to just add their name onto the screen, then we will see that and we can read it out. And we know that there are many healers that take the names then from our service in all of their healing groups. So without further ado, the platform, Ashley, you could give the opening prayer.
Good morning, folks, again, and great to see you all here at Wimbledon this morning, and great to see so many of you online. Please join me as we open in prayer. As we sit together, let us now lay aside the day and test and unite in prayer. We seek the presence and love of Mother, Father God, and the Spirit world upon what we're about to do. We seek that divine presence to guide us during this service and to bring forth our loved ones, family, helpers and guides from heaven. May they offer us messages of hope and comfort when we attempt to contact them and they show us that life continues beyond that change we call death. We seek a blessing upon this church and all who have gathered online and in the church congregation this morning, seen and unseen. So mote it be. Amen. Amen.
We're beginning to have people saying hello. Kim Byrne is asking for healing to be sent for Christine and for Indy. Now, I don't know if this is Mum Christine, who's our Reverend Christine Woodham in Spain, but if Christine Woodham isn't well, or even if she is, let's send us. And, you know, if Kim is saying a different Christine, then let's send it to Christine. Going to see your face and see your note, Kim. So healing sent to everyone in need, and we'll see if we have any other messages of healing. We have our list where we've already asked the church congregation and all of the individuals that have asked for healing from the previous week as well. Jim, who's not been at all well and is hopefully recovering, will be back with us soon. Norma, Chrissy, Ben, Kelly and Stephen, Babs, Shirley, Cheryl, Mary, Joe, Amber, Jill, Sarah, Sharon, Olwyn, Sally, Daphne, and then there are one or two. Can we please send healing as somebody has been diagnosed?
Sandra's had a stroke, yes. And someone with
cancer. So we need all of that healing energy to be sent out for those individuals. And then we ask you all to say with us the Serenity Prayer for our healing moments. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And as we receive any other requests for healing, then I will just mention that and we'll add it to our own healing list. And then this is the time where we ask a person to go around with a collection plate. I don't know if T is going round or if somebody else has been asked, but the collection plate is just there at the back of the church. And it's the time where we mention online as well that if you would like to support our church in keeping open and keeping our heat on and being a warm, safe place for individuals, then that's what we're trying to do. And in fact, it's so warm here, I may even have to turn the heating off if our body heat rises too much. But if anyone is too uncomfortable with the heat, but as I say, you can go online on our LOD Proms page, paypal.me/LOD Proms, and I'm sure that you'll be able to find that. Okay. So is that another request for healing, or is that the same one?
Clabon.
Marion. Okay.
Marion Clabon.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Are you planning a paid spiritual event or looking for something to do this weekend? Then visit myspiritualevents.com. You can browse the listing, view the event details, watch a YouTube clip, look at a mini gallery, select dates and times, pay for tickets using PayPal or your debit card. Organizers can register for free and start selling tickets within minutes, be it for their online or in-person spiritual event. As an organizer, you will have access to your own admin dashboard, which will display information such as your income and your bookings, all in a simple and user-friendly display. It's free to use. Join and upgrade to an organizer. Come and visit us at myspiritualevents.com.
My Spirit Life is a free online interactive magazine for those who have an interest in improving their spiritual lives. Authors can upload images, videos, and audio clips to their own articles. The public can place comments, rate the article, and follow the author. All articles are vetted before being published. For more information and to place your own article, please visit myspiritlife.co.uk. Tomorrow morning from 11 a.m, our magazine show Brighten Your Day offers readings, guests, gossip and more. Start your day with SPTV.
Hi, welcome back, folks, and thank you for paying attention during the adverts. New spiritual magazine there I was just talking about to people in the congregation. So do head over to SPTV UK and have a look at a raft of information there. But the magazine is one of many tools you can find local mediums. Centres. I was in the church. Hopefully you have found your local church, and if you've entered today as a stranger for the first time, we hope you come back as a friend. And for those online, great that you're able to join us. We hope you're able to connect with spiritual churches and centres elsewhere in the country. We know that Michelle was asking for us to send some healing to her friend Tracy. She's had a bad break in her legs and she's been in hospital for the last 3 weeks, and lady was just saying that she just had a diagnosis of cancer, and she's asking that we send her some healing, some love and light. So absolutely, everyone that's put their names both in the chat, names here, anyone that was thinking about a name, know that power of healing is going to them. Know that we all have the ability to work with that gift, and even so much as a positive intention without any formal training is often all it needs to start that spark. Our church people often study for about 2 years to become a spiritual healer. They talk about the power of that absent healing. And one of those golden rules, to summarize, 2 years of training is that actually the human being isn't as powerful as the energy that you're tapping into. Of course, we all have the ability to do it, but the more we practice, the more we find it able to attune into that energy and to use that energy. So thank you for sending your love and light, your positive thoughts.
And I just have one other name that's just been given for Michael Costello for healing thoughts. So if you could do that. And actually moving on from healing is almost a healing theme, because the reading I've picked this morning Stedman's book, A New Understanding of Life. And for those of you that watch Ashley with his fortnight show on SPTV with Being Spiritual, he does mention Ralph Steadman, and he was a great philosopher. Pleased that we had met him. But it's about mental energy. And it said, we should leave the last considerations to your mental researchers, for we wish to develop the first theme and see if it can possibly explain what can and does happen in your world. When you think of the possibilities of something happening, the energy for that thought comes from your mental body, which receives the power from the primary energy force. As this force also contains the potential of everything which would possibly happen, a field of possibility within the force is created. And that primary energy force contains all possibilities, including the probability of what will happen eventually. Whatever you have thought of reinforces the existing possibility of that thing happening. Whether or not a single thought will have any influence on that probability depends on what other factors are combining together to create. For that possibility, in cases, it will not. But if the initial thought is not casual, I wonder whether XYZ will happen, but directed, I intend XYZ to happen, then the effect is far more powerful. It may help you to imagine all the possible outcomes of a particular situation being put up on a ladder, almost like a league table. The one with the highest possibilities goes on the top of the ladder, where it has the time and the title of probability, while the others are likelihood. Do you see what is likely to happen? If that same thought is expressed over and over again, the possibility of the thing happening is continually increased, and so moves up the ladder until eventually the new possibility becomes greater than the probability which already exists, and so replaces it. This is such a fundamental factor in your human lives that its importance cannot be overemphasized. You are continually creating your own future by the thoughts which you express in your everyday life, and nowhere is this more evident than in the thought which you have about yourself. Now, so if we think about those energy thoughts and positive energy, and that somebody is going to get better, then that power with everyone else's power sends a flame of power and energy. And it's the same when of a morning, you know, if you repeated, you know, the word over it, and whether or not you're asking energy. If you're saying, you know, we can wake up, we may not be well, but what we can change is attitude and serenity prayer. If you can't change something physical, then you can't, but we can change our attitude. And if our attitude is positive, then we begin to have more and more positive energy till eventually it's the intention. There is intent there that we are going to have a good day, that we are going to manage to do something special, that we actually are striving for that. Then it's like a confirmation, you know, that we are confirming it each time that that is what's going to happen and people are going to get better. And that power of energy and prayer happens, and that can influence our life. So that was, I thought, a nice explanation of us and how strong our mental energy is, and that energy, when we combine it to come up, we become a power pack. So thank you for listening to the reading. Now I'm going to ask our visiting medium Ashley, although this is his church, so he's not really visiting, and you know, for him to come and give us a few words. Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks, Mum. And yes, this is home for me. Strangely, it wasn't the first church that I ever, because our sister church at Hatbridge was where I first started sitting in circle. Although you could say I was, I suppose, performing here and creating noise and havoc ever since I was a young kid and a toddler. But yeah, it's always great to come home. And I think there's such a wonderful purpose here. Recently, we celebrated our Spirit Seeker weekend, and we were away in Stratford upon Avon for our spiritual and psychic weekend. And a lot of the people in the congregation today were there. And we all sat in tables. It's about 130 of us in the evening, and each of the tables were named after a spiritual ambassador. One of those that we chose for this weekend was Mr. Richard Arthur Bush, the founder of this church. And on the 17th of December in 1913, the first mission for spiritualism in Wimbledon Wimbledon took place. And Mr. Bush had then been inspired a little while later to purchase the land here and sort of build this church. And we think about that, what people were trying to do with that concept of religion, and what people were, even only 100 years ago, when we talk about modern spiritualism only being a couple of 100 years, despite, ancient civilizations being aware of the power of their ancestors. The reason that I think it's symbolic to talk about that and the meaning behind spiritualism and what it's become today was kind of provoked by, this season, autumn. And in a couple of days, most people recognise the 31st of October as Halloween. Now, I'm on a PTA at my kids' school. We organise fundraising events to raise money for them. And for people that have tuned in before at the church or my address will know that my wife is Irish and she's been brought up Catholic. She's also a spiritual healer. But our kids go to a Catholic primary school, and they've been baptised Catholic and spiritualist. I think for the census we called one a spiritualist Catholic and the other one a Catholic spiritualist. But recognising the fact that labels are but labels, and we just wanted to recognise that we're trying to respect both sides of family and tradition. But all I ever try and do is look for the things that are absolutely compatible. Now, the reason I mention the Catholic school is that we were unable to do what we had previously described as a spooky disco, where all the kids got to get dressed up, because they like getting dressed up and wearing scary masks or outfits. We'd had a spooky disco before. We knew we couldn't use the word Halloween, but the headmaster had actually said, look, we really can't be seen to be celebrating Halloween as a sort of Catholic school. And I wanted to sort of look more into this, and I started doing a bit of research and looking at the meaning of things, and ultimately was surprised, because I'd always understood Halloween as a sort of the night where perhaps the veil became that little bit closer between this world and the next, and as a spiritualist it was always quite exciting. But the actual word hallow, saints, and actually Halloween, the night before, it was the opportunity to celebrate All Saints' Day, which is a Christian festival, on the 1st of November. So you start looking at what is compatible and what is not, and then you look at how, particularly when Roman Catholicism was spreading out across Europe, what the Romans were very good at when sort of conquering lands, as well as murdering lots of people and sending them to the afterlife quite quickly. Those that survived were often adopted and baptized into sort of culture, and they took bits of the culture which were quite popular and tried to amalgamate it. Even Sunday, as a religious day within Christianity and our divine service today, was of course Sun, Ra, the sun god, and people celebrating the fact that the sun keeps coming up every day, which is really our lives. What is it that could possibly not be compatible with Catholicism, this sort of celebration of Halloween, the eve before All Saints' Day? And of course, you then start to look at the traditions and the histories, and you actually need to blend that with some of the world's migration, because I talk about family being from Ireland, and of course, culture is just as powerful as religion and culture. And when people started opportunity, perhaps to get rid of all the bits and make sure that good luck or good light and good energy came in. In fact, that the very idea of wearing masks was perhaps to scare away these sort of darker spirits that might sort of come their way, and therefore it wasn't about. And actually, there's some Irish tradition there about jack-o'-lantern and the pumpkins that we carve, about hanging them up high, and the idea sort of if the devil was lurking out, they would come up and be drawn towards the light. And you think about all those labels we use in spiritualism about darkness sometimes being attracted to light, but light extinguishing darkness. And I thought it was interesting at the sort of, as we then approach modern spiritualism, there I am talking about Mr. Bush, talking about some of those early pioneers. None of the early pioneers of spiritualism actually set out to create religion. In fact, lots of them, particularly around the Victorian sort of era when it's becoming really popular, hoped that spiritualism, or the knowledge and the truths of spiritualism, would actually start to bridge religion and science. It was this opportunity to come back together. And Mr. Ralph Steadman there used to talk about the fact that once upon a time ago, when the world was starting to fathom itself out and understanding of the universe, religion and science was often the same person. It was the same thing. You got your religion, you got your philosophy, you got your strategy, you got your policy, you got your science and understanding, all from leaders. And you can't make people follow leaders. Followers choose leaders. So the masses decided to follow these people. And at some point, probably around the Romans looking to modernize things, religion and science came back to back and started to disagree. And you had religion walk off on one way, you had science walk off on the other, turned around in disgust and said, never shall we meet again, as we spread that gap between religion and science. But actually, and this is what Ralph used to talk about, they've probably been walking as far as they could to opposite ends of the planet. But most of us recognise the planet being a sphere. They're on a circumference. And I think that religion and science over the last couple of years is getting closer and closer together than it's ever been before. And of course, as spiritualists, when we start thinking about metaphysics, we start thinking about energy, our modern scientists are probably much closer to the point before. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that scientists set out to do that. But as scientists go out to get a better understanding of the world, of the universe, the better understanding of energy, they know more and more about energy and the makeups of us. And the spirit world and some of our ancestors speak about that concept of energy. They speak about primal energy and primal particles of energy, the energy of us all. And we talk of healing, the gifts of mediumship. We talk about that understanding of the energy. I think it's fascinating to think that what we celebrate as modern spiritualism never went out to create a religion. They went to bridge those two things. And actually, there's still this misunderstanding. But even more now in 2012 to 22, where we can identify as whoever we want and whatever we want, that labels are private and personal to each of us. More than important to respect other people's identity and the way that they wish to identify. As you online, you recognize the fact that spiritualism is a way of living, is a way of life. Now, I take comfort in labeling myself as a spiritualist. I'm proud of that fact. I'm proud of being a spiritualist meaning, but the label is private to me. In the same way that if you ask my wife, who's been together with me for 22 years and been a spiritual healer, I think for about 10 or 15, would still call myself a Catholic, because those labels are private. And I think that that respect that we hopefully have, again, is the way that we live that life. Working with the energy, working with light, understanding the difference between conditional love and love. All of those things are our philosophy, our principles of the way that we live our life. And I think that, as we celebrate, and I'll be getting dressed up. In fact, I'm going to be the ghost of Henry VIII, because I want to use my Henry VIII costume before I lose it in my way. When I take my kids out, doing a little bit of trick or treating. Growing up from mum and dad weren't big fans of that. They saw it as a sense of begging. Don't go around knocking on people's houses and begging. It was something, I don't know if I could go as strong to say it was a forbidden thing, but you certainly didn't encourage it.
You did November the 5th.
Yeah. Also very popular with Catholic. Someone trying to take out and destroy government and religion. But the idea for me, in that sense of, I don't really want to choose between the trick, but the kids going out, and it's very naturally commercial, because kids will even call it candy on Halloween because of what they've had as an influence on the computer. But the fact is, I like that they just want to celebrate, to be more organised, that you can identify as a house with your lantern and say, I'm quite happy for people and kids to knock at my door because I've got sweets. Them versus a house with sort of no lights on and pumpkins, and that's kind of the philosophy to it. So it's good that it's better. It isn't just kids knocking on the door and begging for money. There's this opportunity to participate or not, and I think that boils down to respect. It boils down to that unconditional love. So we think about those mental conditions. We think about the spiritual. We think about the fact that in a moment I'm going to try and give you evidence of life after that change we call death, and all of that is some of our principles of the way we live our life. And I encourage you to continue to do that. Start out there and recognize that everything of those experiences will all be worth it. Now, whether or not we recognize that at this time, whether or not we recognize the hurt and the pain of things that were in our experiences, but now it's part of our foundations. And everything we'll do, we'll continue to add in those foundations. And it's on those foundations that we build our superstructures. And as we build those superstructures in pursuit of love and happiness, I hope you all get to do it with people you love, doing things that you love. Thank you.
Thank you very much for an interesting talk with Halloween. And as I say, we've got our pumpkins here, so we're happy for people to come in and celebrate. We had a great talk on Wednesday from Kelly, Stephen and Julie. Julie brought her niece and nephew, and they were showing different photographs of church gargoyles. And I knew absolutely nothing at all about gargoyles. And even the fact the word to gargle is sort of an ancient word that the gargoyles seem to then use, and it was to be of the throat. But it was the fact that these were actually outside many of the medieval churches, And a lot of them were where the water was actually drained from all of the different parts of the churches which needed to come off from the roof. And that's how they started. And then these grotesques and other things. So it was fascinating learning a little bit more about these. So if you ever come across a very old church, and have a look and see if it's got any of these, because I always thought that they were to frighten off any evil spirits for this time of year, but it looks as though it had a very practical reason as well of actually spurting out the water. But it was interesting. We found it out about goblins, and we found out about some of the others that we hadn't spoken about when we did one on all of the fairy folk earlier in the year. So it was a great Halloween feast that we had on Wednesday. And I just thought I'd like to add that as it's sort of Halloween tomorrow. And there's so many ceremonies all over the world about that vow being lighter and about that communication. But we don't need Halloween to celebrate, because as spiritualists, we celebrate communication every day of the year. And that's why I'm pleased now to ask Ashley once again up to the platform, as he can demonstrate his gift of mediumship. So if he should come to you, then please remember your friends and family are on your doorstep. So, you can't physically hug them, but you can mentally hug them. You can send out that love and that feeling. And even in your voice, if you put love into your voice when you're answering up, then they know that you're pleased to see them. Otherwise, they think, well, I won't bother. I'll just go out and do something else for the day. So remember that. So talk with love and give them that great big hug. We've got this big hug around us all now with that love that we can feel. So a hug to all of the people that now come and, prove their continued existence. So please give your love to Ashley.
Thank you. Nice time myself at the church. I was up here with Dad as well. So it's one of the things I love about my religion. Get to do this with the family. Thank you for the folks online talking about the lovely words. Terry was actually saying there about the sort of double standards of parenting. How often do you say to kids not to accept sweets off strangers, and then once a year you take them out and get them knocking on strangers' doors? So yeah, absolutely right, Terry. And I think that importance of getting it right. I've got 3 little boys. My eldest is 7. And I was talking to him about safety when we were out. He was watching me play rugby. We're in an open park, and I was saying to him, would you talk to a stranger? He said, no, absolutely not, Dad. You've told me not to do it. And I said, well, what if they were offering you sweets? And he looked at me and he thought about it, and he said, what I would do is I would take their sweets, but I wouldn't talk to them. And I was like, right, I need to go back to this sort of philosophy of the sweets could be what's luring you in, and talking about badness, because as you do so much to protect your kids, I certainly do, you don't often talk about what it is you're protecting them from, through fear of sort of scaring them. And I found that trying to get enough of the truth across without sort of scaring them is really important. I talk a lot about, spiritualism. And when they come back, the 4-year-olds now also in reception year, they're having that thread of Catholicism as part of their RE. And what I loved on both the parents' nights is the RE input back from the teacher. Like, these kids are great, your kids, they sit at the front of the class and they're asking me questions about understandings of this. And I think that's brilliant. We should continue to encourage our young minds to ask questions and to ask evidence. Right, so I'm on now to try and give some evidence of life after death. Hopefully I'll know whether or not I'm in the church or I'm in online. If you think that you're in online, I want you to be able to say yes to everything. So there's about a 10-15 second delay, I think, on Facebook and YouTube. But as I present the evidence, I'll be looking for people to say yes to all of that. They understand all of it. Once we've established who the communicator is, I'll be asking them, inviting them to give you a bit of a message. So my first communicator, I think, is going to be for someone in the church. I've got a man with me. As this man he talks about family, he talks about being father, grandfather, and now great-grandfather. And the reason I think he was emphasizing now is I feel that there's been life that's been created, incarnations, new experiences since I've gone to the spirit world. So this man, as he talks about being father, he takes me over towards the left-hand side of his body, around his heart. He's talking about heart failure and passing with heart failure. My nan's brother was Stan. And I don't know if he's trying to give me the symbolic side of Stan and the letter S, because I kept seeing the letter S, or whether or not this relationship would have been like a man on nan's side of the family. And this would have been dad's mum's sort of family. So a sibling or an uncle relationship, or a great uncle to you. No, it is Stan. Stan is also important as well as that relationship. So I think I'm looking for someone in the church to understand this man in the spirit world that's passed with this heart failure. I think he's had a heart-limiting condition, but heart failure, boom, heart attack. End of my life was around that. This man was father and grandfather, and the letter S is important to him. Possibly even Stan or Stanley is also linked. Maybe links to Wallington around Stanley Road, actually, because they kept emphasising that.
I can take that.
All of it, Ian?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can take the Stanley Road because I used to live in a road opposite it.
Okay. And you would understand, man in the spirit world that's passed with a heart failure, yeah. Father, grandfather, now great grandfather. Okay. I mean, Ian, okay, yeah. Ian, I know you. All right. I'll work with you then, Ian.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Sure. Yeah,
so this message is for Ian in the church. Ian, as he links in with me, I feel there was this important thing to talk about Dad's mum as well, also in the spirit world. So this would be your dad's mum, and that Ticky Heart. What is he talking about? I feel like there's been he's calling it dominoes. There was a series of passings to the spirit world, all limited around weakness in the heart. You understand that, okay? I'm not here to tell you that there's duff genes in the heart, and I'm not a doctor. He said, but it was symbolic of recognising that. I feel there was like 3 passings as well, because he kept clicking his fingers as if there were three sort of dominoes. And it's like we were in good company. We were in good company. It was important that we were able to do that. So Ian, I know you relatively well, and I know you're also working as a medium. So I'm working hard to give you evidence of things that I wouldn't have necessarily known about you. Thank you. Okay, I've got this big, gentle encouragement with you. So okay, thank you. And I know you'll understand this symbolic thing of getting back on the horse is quite important. It's like it's not the same horse. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going off, and I feel like I'm really in pursuit of a different horizon and a different agenda, and him being quite excited about that. He's talking about the fact that with you bring other people that are getting on their horses and following you in that direction. Okay. And he's just playing back some of those words. We spoke about followers, choosing leaders. And he said, absolutely. And we needed you to be at the front in order for people to decide if they were going to follow you or not. And he's talking about that to come, that being quite important. He's also talking about it being, okay, thank you very much. I love it when spirit work with us and they kind of influence the address to a certain extent, and they can play it back, because he's talking about the opportunity for you to inspire. Okay, and he's talking about the opportunity to work within, and he's like, I'm really pluralizing that because, okay, thank you. Thank you. You're just giving feedback. Yes, definitely mustn't be blinkered. Okay, this silo approach to spiritualism, it's about understanding all of the potential, all of the opportunity, all of the gifts that are available for everyone to access. And actually, the only difference between us being able to inspire and direct is this opportunity for them to ask. And therefore, if they're not even asking the questions, we can't influence. And he's excited about you doing that. So you understand what he's saying with that. Okay. Thank you. And again, I've known him for a while, so I know you're wearing glasses, but he's talking about a change to a tweak of the frame. Okay, so I've got like a hinge. There's something about the hinge of the frame that he was just making reference to. I don't know if you pinched some skin or something.
It's quite funny because I got some new glasses recently, and they weren't quite right. And I went back and I found out that the arms couldn't be adjusted to suit my head.
Okay.
No rude jokes. The size of my head. But they've actually had to swap the frames, and they're coming hopefully in a week. Okay.
Then he was playing that back and talking about that, and folks on him was just giving confirmation there about the frames not being the right thing. So yeah, very excited for you. Right. Okay, thank you. You told me you lived around Stanley Road. Yeah. There is of some sort. I'm almost standing, and I've got accommodation like residential houses behind me. And I want to sort of almost like zigzag. I'm zigzagging out to the right and to the left, and I'm accessing this green, which I want to refer to as almost like a cricket green, because he was showing me the cricket whites. Okay, and I feel that I've not a long walk from there at all. There was this opportunity, like a community green. Okay, not for cricket, but cricket had been played there. Okay, right, and he's just giving me some memories of that. Okay, right, interesting. We were talking about Halloween a moment ago, and I know that another thing often associated around horror and Halloween is that concept of 13th. Okay, and I know that Friday the 13th was unlucky for some, particularly the Knights Templars. Okay, and now the reason he's referencing this, he's producing a Knights Templar outfit. Okay, and I'm asking about this, and he's talking about the horror of Friday the 13th, and he said it was unlucky for them, but so unlucky was it that the top leader was taken out, okay, and was ultimately accused of something they didn't do, and of the torture was put in to do that. But Friday the 13th is still recognised as potentially an unlucky even number. There are hotels that don't go up to the 13th floor. Friday the 13th feeling unlucky for some because they were one of the most powerful organisations at the time. Now, you're not talking about you being toppled and captured by the French and tortured, so don't worry about that. But this Knights Templar outfit, he's talking about you being a warrior for your mission, okay? Yeah. And I'm asking what this means. And in the same way, yes, they finished off as pretty successful bankers. They were very talented knights. They're very talented warriors, and they protected people. They protected the opportunity of pilgrimage. They went into some holy grounds. There are arguments about who thought they were right and wrong with the different major religions of the time, but these were people that were inspired by their faith to go out and fight for someone else. And he's just talking about that, and he's giving you these outfits. He quite liked it, and I was very careful to make sure this was definitely Knights Templars and not Ku Klux Klan. White hats and hoods, so it's definitely an appropriate message. And he's talking about you being a warrior within your belief system, and about him giving you this sword. And as he holds this sword, he gives it to you. It's almost ceremonial, okay? I'm looking down, I'm giving you this sword, my boy. He stands for love, light, and truth. Keep on the good fight. Okay, Ian, that was your message. Thank you very much.
I can say that, I'll be said.
Right. Thank you. Right, my next communicator I think is potentially online. I've got a lady here. This lady is talking about being family. This lady is mother. And now a grandmother. I'll be looking for someone online, be a daughter, so a female member of our online congregation would recognise mother in the spirit world. She's had a cancerous type condition around the lower body, okay? Got a like a king. I've got a 7-year-old, so I do a lot of phonetics, so apologies for sounding out. This is a spirit access to those memories. Got a kicking K, like a Kathy, is the noise that she was just giving me. So I'm looking for someone online who understand this mother figure, this cancerous type condition. The name Kathy or Catherine is the noise that I was hearing with her. And I'm pretty sure, Richard, that will be online. And just while I'm waiting for someone on Facebook to come back, I've got another communicator that's ready to come through for the congregation. I've got a man here. I think he's giving his name actually of Steve or Stevie, Stephen. I know there is a Stephen in the church as well. So let me see if this man, not your name. Okay, Stephen, I think the next communicator will be for you. And I've got okay, so yeah, lady, mother, cancer, the cafe online. I'll wait for some feedback to come back on that. But Stephen, is it okay if I also work with you? Yeah. And Jade, I think yes, okay. Yeah, Mum knows Jade, and you understand the pack list. So Jade Fleming, I'll be with you online. And Steve, I'm going to come to you next with the next message. We've also got a Kathy that said my mother-in-law was named Kathy and passed away from cancer, and that's the double Kathy. The double Kathy is important there. 27th, okay, thank you. Right, last week was my mum's birthday, 27th of October, my mum's wedding anniversary. 27th of October will be important to you. That was last Thursday, I think. Was it last Thursday? I don't even think it's Sunday today, isn't it? Last Thursday, I think a double Kathy. I think I could be with the double Kathy because they were just showing. Is that Littlewood? Yeah. Okay, Kathy Littlewood, I believe her with you. Give me the verification about the 27th of October. Steve, the communicator for you is a man. As this man links in with you. Okay, so Kathy, I'm waiting for your verification, but I'm now talking to Stephen in the church. This man was family, Steve. Yeah. Stephen, I want to call you Stephen, okay, yeah. As opposed to Steve. He doesn't like me shortening that talk. This had an impact on his head, Stephen, he's telling me, and I'm asking about the impact. The impact is internal. There's something that's happened on the inside of my head towards the top right hand, and I've got a lot of pressure around there, like my head has been in a vice. Yeah. Kathy online was just said October 20th was her twin son's birthday. I'm married to one of them. Okay, Kathy Littlewood, I'll be with you on online. So Stephen, do you understand this communicator?
Yeah.
You do. Okay, then you'll be next. Kathy Littlewood, you understand October the 20th as opposed to 27th, so that will mean 2 weeks ago Thursday. And you stand about the double. You're the Kathy, the communicator. You're married to one of her twin sons. Okay, so Kathy Littlewood online. Kathy, I don't know where you are in the world. You don't have to tell me, but they're taking me across the pond and they're talking about the United States of America. And I feel this is important for her boys. I've got this adventure across the pond and I've got this experience which is educational and investment. Kathy, as she links in with you and you understand who your communicator was, she's talking about picking you up in particular. Okay, so one of the boys, this would either be your brother-in-law or your husband, would have this link across the pond. I've got an adventure around education and investiture. Kathy, there's picking you up. Okay, I'm standing you up tall and I'm straightening you up, getting you, feel like I'm presenting you for something, some recognition, Kathy. That's me. You need to be recognised for this. I feel that you've been underappreciated, over scenario in this situation, and I do not feel that you've been recognised properly for this, Kathy. And she's talking about the fact that she's presenting you, and she's straightening me up as well, and getting me ready. And she's talking about getting you ready for that presentation. Feels that's quite important done as well. And across the pond over towards the USA. She's talking about you. She's talking about education. She's showing me academia. She's talking about you working towards something. And part of this recognition she was just talking about, Kathy, was the opportunity of a stepping stone. I'm into something new and I want to recognize that within academia, some sort of accreditation, some sort of formal qualification. Kathy, you would understand there, working towards that, her being excited about that. Okay, thank you. She was just playing back on followers, choosing leaders, and she said my boy didn't know who he wanted to follow. The person had not been born to rule and decide his fate, but you have absolutely. Thank you very much, Kathy, for that confirmation. And I've got this okay, thank you, real sense of him choosing to follow you, and that you actually teasing out that really authentic side of him, and that being quite important. I've got him, I know we talked about Halloween, we talked about masks. She's talking about him being someone else away from you, and you helping him, encouraging him to take the mask off, to be more of himself, to be more authentic, and how important this is for him right now. So Kathy, keep working towards what you're doing. I think you're heading in that direction where this could be formally accredited or recognized. It's really important. There's something around T and B, Tango, Bravo, TB, the letters TB. I don't know if this is something Bay, Turtle Bay as a restaurant, as just in a logo there, Tantra, like TB. There's something important there. And Kathy's just confirming, yeah, she's training to be a counsellor, and that leads Kathy. So keep on doing that. Mother-in-law was talking about, okay, reminded me, was talking about, this TB, and there's something around this Bay and my boy being more authentic, being more of himself, and that's, she wants to use, well, Kathy, the power and the value there. So Kathy, that was your message from mother-in-law. She sends you her love. Stephen, I was going to say Steve again. Stephen. Okay, you understood. So I'm now with Steve. Is that Tampa Bay? Okay, I think that means you understand what it means.
Florida, I think.
Okay, well, she said she was in Florida. But that was important. Hopefully, it should just be referenced rather than me just randomly naming things in America, Kathy. That should be significant to you as well. So I hope it was. Enough of the UK landmarks here in American officers. It needs to be more of the Robert things. Okay, Kathy, that was your message. As he links in with me, he's talking about okay, thank you, your courage. Okay, your courage has taken a hit, a real sucker punch, Stephen, and he's talking about the fact that this has affected your confidence and your ability. Would you understand that?
Yeah, something happened the other day that I thought.
He said, no, it's nothing to do with, it was something you almost said alive as well. I'm getting too old for this, and you swore, he said out loud.
My godson don't swear.
I can't remember now. I swear that often.
Right. Something to do with a hot, burn your fingertip, your index, your right hand index finger, Stephen, it's something you've burnt your finger on. You swore out loud. Pointing finger. Right, let me. Well, he's pointing you in the right direction, and don't get your finger.
Years ago I did that. We're going back quite a way.
No, it'd have to be significant to him. Right, come on, give me right. Tuesday. The tea. Right. You had a hot drink made for you, and you were guided to where it was put, and you put your finger straight into.
Oh, I did that recently.
Okay, right. That's what he was just making reference to. But
Well, then, yeah.
he's talking about the fact that. Okay, and for those that don't know online, Stephen, I was going to say you don't have use of your sight. It's not that you choose not to. You don't. I think you be classified within frame as blindness, and the reason that he was mentioning this is the fact that you. Okay, I think it was you, Kelly. Kelly, you would understand. You actually, I think you made him this drink, and you got hold of his hand and told him where it was and where the handle was, and then he did it anyway.
Yes.
Okay, so sometimes it's not about your inabilities, Stephen, but it does link to your ability to concentrate on listening and doing as you've been told, because there's nothing wrong with your physical hearing, but you're not always paying full attention to Kelly. Would that make sense? Okay. He's just giving me that feedback for you, and he's like, trust in yourself. There are he keeps right. In my mind's eye, he keeps writing the word disability. Okay, and he keeps crossing out dis, and he keeps underlining ability. Okay, so I know you two well enough to know how proud I am of what you achieve, because whenever I feel like I've got something as a barrier holding me back, I'm genuinely inspired and proud of what you do, because you're not only great human beings and role models, but what you do without, your full mobility and your full sight, I think is absolutely incredible. And what he's saying to me, Stephen, with that, because that's me knowing that and confirm that, he's talking about the fact that you are still, right, he's got you racing in your wheelchair, and he's like, you're still overtaking the guy that didn't even get. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Slow progress is forwards progress, Stephen. It is onwards and it is progression. And make a decision to get out of bed and to get off that chair, you are overtaking the people that won't. And he's using the word won't as opposed to can't. Okay, because he's saying, that it's right at the bottom of the list of vocabulary. You have, I will give this a go. Keep on keeping on. Okay, that's what he's saying to you, and don't and do as you're told, and take a bit more of a steer, and do right. Okay, so I know that there are some other intolerances in your life, but you, Stephen, I'm being told, have done a few things which, okay, he's saying we've wound up, had a decision you could have made. It's something to do with a smell. What is it? It's a fishy smell, right? I know, Stephen, you like fish because I've eaten fish with you. But did you make Kelly cook you something you know she didn't like the smell of?
No, basically we had chips and he had scampi and all lemon on it, and I asked him to pick up the sausage you had on top, so I put the lemon on without touching it. He said, no, wait till you've done it, and I tried to move the sausage and touch the scampi with my finger and had an allergic reaction because I touched it.
Okay, but you relied on the head chef to look after you. Okay. Okay. Well, he sends you his love. Okay. Keep on keeping on. Measure your progress against yourself, not against others. But in the event of doing so, remember the guy on the couch that won't get up. Okay. That is the important thing of saying you make a decision to keep going, keep doing. Okay, that was your message. You're welcome. Right, a lady called Claire Hannilan saying, Ray, if you see this, please give my love to everyone at the church. Thank you. So Claire sends her love to everyone at the church. We know Claire. Thank you, Claire. Everyone knows now. In Italy, Claire in Italy. Okay, thank you very much. Right, where am I with my next communicator? Okay, know we spoke about Halloween, we spoke about fancy dress, but I've got a guy that's just turned up dressed as Darth Vader, and he's like he's sort of humming that sort of, you know, the death march. Do, 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 do. I'm sorry for those in the chat. I'm tone deaf. That probably, you know, hopefully you have a reference to Star Wars and have a rough idea of where I was going with that. And he's dressed as Darth Vader. So Kim is saying he has to listen to Kelly Prophecy. There you go. Extra confirmation from Kim there. Didn't want to start a divide between Kelly and Stephen in the church, but we're going to take votes online. So who do you? I'm joking. Keep doing the right thing. Happy life, Stephen. That was the best advice my granddad ever gave me. Right. Okay. So no allergic reactions. Right. Darth Vader. Right. Why is this understanding? Why are you Darth Vader? Okay. You've got a good sense of. Okay. Thank you. Right. Oh, there's a burn there as well. Okay. Tracy Honey says lovely message for Stephen. Thank you, Tracy, online. Right. I think I'm back online with this, and I've got someone that really enjoyed dressing up, and they went like full hog. They were like the MacGyver of fancy dress in making their own stuff. And as this guy's talking about, he's talking about dressing up for Halloween and taking a great, lovely sense of humor. This man was a father. I feel like I'm communicating with my children that will be watching online. There's a daughter, and I think there's also a son that's watching, although they're not together. And he's talking about the fact of Halloween. I passed not long after Halloween, between Halloween and Christmas. Okay, and what he's telling me, he kept making the same joke. Right, I don't want this passing to have been that long, actually. Maybe about 5 years, because you're talking about five. And he said he kept ringing you up. And he said, I am your father. And he was doing this, and he was making this joke to Star Wars, but he said he enjoyed it so much, he just kept doing it. And he was just ringing you up to do it. So I'm looking for someone that would understand a man claiming to be a father that would have passed within the last 5 years. And he passed between Halloween and Christmas. And he's talking about being otherwise up and active and being out. And I feel like I'm trick-or-treating with children, my grandchildren. Someone would understand this. I was dressed as Darth Vader. Boom. Quick, hit me down quick. There's something about head and an impact. And he's also talking about a collision. I know he's talking about something. He's hit his head. But he's talking about being involved in a collision of some sort. And I've passed the spirit world. So someone, okay, thank you, will understand that link online. Darth Vader, dad, great sense of humour, going full hog into the costumes, fancy dress, trick-or-treating, around Halloween, something happened just before Christmas, okay, in that autumn-winter period. So someone online will understand that. Just while I'm waiting for Facebook and YouTube world to come back, I'll just bring my next communicator in at the church. Okay, thank you. Take my breath away, thank you. Right, I've got a lady here for someone in the church as well. This lady is Nan, Dad's mum. Should be Nan, Dad's mum. He has had tightness of chest, which has affected heart and heart failure, but I've had a breathing, anyway, it's like an infection of some sort. My lungs are heavy, like they're now full of fluid, like a pneumonia type condition. So someone would understand this woman in the spirit world, grandmother, dad's side of the family, I believe, that's had this pneumonia type condition that's affected my lungs and my breathing.
Long time ago, though.
Okay. But you would understand the woman?
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
I would say it's a long time ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fred would be important to you in that communicator. So we're just mentioning Fred also being up here. Frederick. Doesn't make sense. Right, I'm not sure I'm with you then. Okay. Anyone else in the church understand? Because I feel like she said I'm in the church. I know, like she said I'm in the church. I know you are. Are you communicating with someone in the church? Jenny was taking someone who loved dressing up for Halloween, loved taking our kids out for Halloween. Jenny, I might be with you. Let me try and establish where this communicator is. Frederick. Frederick's also in the spirit world, but it's a lady that's communicating. This lady is Nan. She was mother. She's had a pneumonia type condition. Okay, it's like a chest infection, which is just worse and worse and worse. And pneumonia, viral, all over, skull and crossbones all over my body. Jade Fleming saying my uncle died car accident November 1987. That's certainly more than the 5 years. Oh, go on, Richard. Okay. Frederick was her husband. Would this lady have been a nan and also a mother? All right then. So I'm with Richard, producer, I think, for Nan. And then online, I was looking for a couple of people. So Jade was talking about dad died in a car accident in November. I think that's too far away for it to be this communicator, because he was talking, Jade, about the 5. Jenny was saying I can take someone who loved up dress. Jenny. Okay, Jenny, I think I'm with you. Okay, you understand this communicator. Richard, I'll be with you next. Jenny, real sense of love and excitement. This guy was an extrovert. Okay, he's telling me I got my energy from other people and I loved it, and I love the energy of being out with my family and doing things. I love people laughing. I didn't actually want necessarily stage light, limelight, but I enjoyed making people laugh. I enjoyed taking people with me, Jenny, and you'd understand I just kept going, and it was a lot of fun for me, and I enjoyed making them smile, and I enjoyed that fun and that excitement. That buzz. And Jenny's towards my right hand side of the church, and he's almost like turning now, and he's like, I can be anything. I can be a ballerina, and he's still dressed as Darth Vader, but he's dancing around like a ballerina on sort of one toe. And he's like, you can recreate your body without any of the imperfections. I've made a few enhancements, and that's what he was saying to me. And now he can be a ballerina dancing Darth Vader, and he's giving you a confirmation of him in the spirit world being back to full speed, back to full strength, being able to do more. Jenny says yes, he loved making people off, and he's just bringing those fun and that energy around. Jenny, he's also saying that you do need an injection of laughter. Okay, as spiritually talk about sending love and light, he's sending you love, light, and laughter, Jenny, and he wants you to be able to laugh. It's been hard. Okay, he wants to put a few more coins in your purse, as if that you've had to make them stretch further. Okay, and I know that certainly almost everyone I know, he's talking about, and he's like splitting it. It's like I've got 100 pennies of some sort, and I'm having to split it in half. Jenny says, haha, that's him. Great. I'm glad you understand who he is. And he's talking about you having to split this and divide it again and divide it again and divide it again, because it's like it keeps splitting. What used to be split half is now being halved and halved again. And he's talking about being quartered. Jenny, he's love, light, and laughter. What's this sense of fun around? That's all you can do. Just cut it in half and cut it in half again, and make sure you invest in you. Okay, he's just giving this an analogy, Jenny, and I don't think it's a physical memory. I think this is something he's trying to understand in your head. And he's talking about the fact that master children helping about you looking after yourself first. Okay, Jenny, and he's talking about the fact that you have to invest in you. Okay, look after you, get yourself sorted, get yourself on solid ground, then you can continue to juggle those competing priorities. And that juggling of the competing priorities is really important. You're doing it really well, but he wants you to invest in you. Take a pause, take a breath. Okay, Jenny, that was your message. Okay, thank you. Lantern. Right, he's just talking about the pumpkin lantern, Jenny, the one with the battery candle, and the battery keeps changing between the positive and negative. And he's just saying, I'd like to take credit for that. It wasn't, but I'd like to take credit for it. And you'd understand this battery. So I'm sure I've moved that again, and it's been moved between, it's been flipped like a pancake. Jenny says she understands that. Thank you so much, Jenny. You're very welcome. Right. Producer Richard, come to you. You understand this lady in the spirit world. Her husband was Frederick. This was Nan to you. You understand the breathing conditions. Okay. Right. So this is a good time to. Pardon? Teresa can say that. So Teresa Thatcher, my dad is Fred. His mum is with him. Not sure. Okay, Richard. So for folks in the church, any of you on social media channels, you'll be aware, obviously, we're doing this type of thing. Recently, there's been an imposter claiming to be Spiritual Psychics TV and sending friend requests to members of Wimbledon Spiritualist Church and the online SPTV community. So SPTV station, it doesn't have its own personal Facebook account, and it won't send friend requests. For those of you online, you found Spiritual Psychics TV today. Great. For Wimbledon Spiritualist Church, we don't have any personal profiles. Head over to @Wimbledon Spirit. You'll find our private page. My page is @AshRobinson Medium. So although I have a personal Facebook, my spiritual work, I use that to share memories with friends and family. But you can contact me @AshRobinson Medium. Now, the reason I mention this, Richard, I've got this woman that's claiming to be your family, that's claiming to be Nan. She's talking about cyber security, and she's like, remember Richard told you at the beginning of the show to mention this and mention to people about the fact there are some scammers out there. And sadly, they're sending friend requests. Then they're saying, would you like a reading? And they're asking for you to prove who you are by sending photographs of your credit cards and stuff like that, so they know you're. Hopefully, most people won't fall for that. But yeah, be aware of, always verify everything via SPTV UK. Check with the admins. If you're on Facebook, head over to the fan page and you can suss people out. But we're definitely not, as SPTV, as hosts or presenters or producer, send a request. So she was reminding me of that, which is why, Teresa Thatcher, I know I'm not with you. I am with Richard. Okay, so Richard, I know bits about your professional life and your personal life, which I'm not going to go into here, but you know that I know that. Oh, and Sarah was just saying the scammers always type in capitals. Okay, so maybe their caps lock is broken. First clue. Yeah, they're Spiritual Psychics TV, I think, in capital letters. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Richard, as I link in with you, as well as reminding me, she wants to take the role of some sort of orchestra conductor. She wants to be in charge, okay? And she wants to sort me out and get me in order. Right, you do that, you need to do that. And she wants to keep it all moving and all going, okay? You don't need her or me to say how enormously proud we are all of you, Richard, giving everyone this platform, this opportunity to do what we do in the producing. But she's talking about the importance of keeping going on. She's showing me a merry-go-round. Okay, and what she's talking about, the fact is this merry-go-round has gone round. You've had the opportunities to spin round a couple of times, to get off and get back on. She's talking about you getting back on it at different times. And she's giving this analogy, like someone at the beginning, about getting back on the horse. But she's talking about you getting on different bits of this merry-go-round. About for fun. She's talking about being in life for seconds of, I've got back on for the ride for fun. On my own, I'm doing this for fun with people that make me laugh, the people that make me smile. And because she's got me previously, I'm doing this for others to follow. I'm doing this to bring cargo, and I've brought other people's stuff with me to keep going. And she's just talking about the relevance of this and the importance for you that you have the time to do things for you, which are in that pursuit of happiness, like I was saying, address. Does that make sense, Richard?
It does.
Right, Rolo. Now, Rolo is chocolate in the UK.
That would make sense.
Oh, sorry?
That would make sense.
Okay, just talking about the Rolo. Right, OXO. Okay, so I'm on the River Thames and I've got the OXO Tower and I'm drinking OXO. I'm not making gravy with it. I'm drinking this OXO cube. She's drinking it in a mug, like a water, just as sort of gravy. Are you drinking OXO? Did you drink OXO the other day? My mum would be in good company with your nan. Cheap date. It's cheap, probably cheaper than a latte, isn't it? On the River Thames, 3 or 4 quid on the River Thames. Richard, would you understand why she's showing me this OXO cube going in and then being drunk?
Yes, her family, and you're the first person to bring this through, used to live in London by the OXO Towers.
Okay. By the OXO, she used to live by the OXO Tower. Okay, well, she's
near, not by, but near. Yeah.
She's just talking about that. Okay, yeah, it's like it's a landmark. Okay, thank you. I want elevation. I want growth in that as well. It would be a prime real estate sort of a spot of elevation and what I could see. Right. Anniversary. My birthday was in when September. I was 40 this year. Getting older, but hopefully getting slimmer. I'm glad I got to 40 years old before I got to 40 stone. I was approaching there at one point as I got into the 30s. She's talking about a birthday not far from mine. I've got a September birthday, an anniversary birthday. It is birthday. I want to say anniversary. She corrects me, no, birthday. You'd understand a birthday between Nan and you, some that's celebrated in September. Yes. And it's not this year, wasn't the big one for them. I want to go. There is a big one coming up though.
There is.
What, a limb full. Okay, right. She was just giving you that reference,
Thank you.
Richard. Oh, that'd be good. She said she's going to try and she's going to hack the hacker. Wouldn't that be lovely physical phenomenon for us if we take down the hacker live on YouTube today as she finds out who the person is. She's got a very gentle sense of humour because she talks about hacking the hackers. She's using, you know, my own lingo. She wouldn't have necessarily understood that. You know, I don't understand the words, but she's talking about the fact that she would like to have frightened them away without having to frighten them. She's a very gentle, kind person who fiercely wants to defend those she loves about, but doesn't necessarily want to upset someone else in the process of doing it, even the scammer. Would you understand that about her personality?
Yes, I would. Yeah, she wouldn't tolerate any type of abuse or people being nasty to each other. She wasn't like that at all.
I want to stand up for bullies and bad people and bandits and, you know, hackers, and but I don't actually, even though I don't like them, I don't actually just want to upset them. It's not in my nature. I just want them to stop, and I'm going to challenge the status quo. Okay, that's what she's saying, and the importance of doing so the same way that you do. You challenge that which is not right, and you stand for that, and you push it forwards. As she said, and you bring in spiritual people together, which is one of the objectives of this channel. So, Richard, that was your message.
Thank you very much, Ashley.
I love and mind.
Thank you.
Okay, we got time for one more.
No, it's the end.
We got time for one more, Richard.
Go for dinner.
It's the end.
No,
It's the end, yeah.
Sorry. I don't know what the time is. There is a clock up there, isn't it? It's 12:05. We should have finished at 12.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was Richard that was getting the
Yeah,
message.
okay, that's fine then. The producer's done. Ladies and gentlemen of the church, thank you so much for coming and being part of my demonstration of mediumship. I'm sorry that I wasn't obviously able to give everyone in the church a message. Hopefully you've received evidence after that change we call death, and you've received some sort of upliftment and comfort in knowing that there is something greater than this, something greater than that experience. Thank you for those of you online that have participated. If you've gone on and made a donation to the church as well, thank you very much, so we can keep the lights and these doors on. When Mr. Bush founded, you know, this mission over 100 years ago, you know, would he have known necessarily that we're still here 100 years later, still trying to share our knowledge, share the truths of spiritualism? So thank you so much for people that have come here, been out today. It's been a sort of cold and wet one in South London today. So thank you for coming out, because as important as this is and our ability to share this message online, you know, I also believe that it's important to keep these centres open. These centres become, and churches become, communities, and you're part of our community today. Those in the church, I hope you'll have a stay and have a cup of tea, coffee, and slice of cake with us. Those online, thank you for participating and engaging with the show. Mum, back over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Richard, for letting us go on another 5 minutes. I didn't want to stop you during your message. Okay. So it's just for me to thank everyone for being here, and please do stay and have a bit of cake with us and celebrate June's birthday. So I want you to all sing happy birthday to June in a moment. And we always like to make sure that we capture everyone's birthday that's part of the family of this church. And as I say, I want to thank Ashley for being our medium this morning. Thank all of you for being our congregation this morning. Without you, there wouldn't be a physical service. I want to thank all of those online that have joined us, that continue to join us. And it's always lovely to see people, you know, through this fantastic invention of this computer system. And I'd just like to ask Ashley back for closing prayer.
Thank you, friends. Please join me as we close in prayer. It is with love and joy in our hearts that we ask a blessing upon this service at Wimbledon Spiritualist Church this morning. For the church family, for you, the congregation, online and in person. If you're Wimbledon today, may you have a safe journey home. If you're watching from home, may you have a safe journey to the kitchen to make your next cup of tea. The committee remain mindful of their obligations to keep this church open, to stand for the mission. We acknowledge all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes and also at Spiritual Psychics TV. We thank Mother, Father, God and our spirit friends who have blessed us with their presence and their companionship today. We ask upon all homes that are represented here and the families therein. So we depart and leave this church service in peace. Amen.
Amen.
and a goodbye from me, and a goodbye from him. And that's the other half away, who's still with us, and he's putting the kettle on. So it's teamwork here. And so we celebrated our 43rd wedding anniversary last week. So, and we've been at the church all that time. And this is our family. So goodbye to everyone. Goodbye to Richard. Have a super day. Until we see you all again, goodbye from us. Okay.